Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. It is time again for the conversation room. I'm so glad that you are here and that you are tuning in. This is episode number 25, and this episode is called Black Disabled Women in Entrepreneurship, exploring opportunities, sharing success stories, and exploring barriers. And I'm not alone here. I will introduce my two amazing guests in just a second, and then they will introduce themselves. But if this is the very first time that you enter this room, I will just let you know what the conversation room is all about and what you can expect here within the next hour. So, first of all, it's not an hour today, it is just 45 minutes, sweet and short. But that's how it is today. We are busy and have other appointments afterwards. That's why we want to be mindful and have it a little bit shorter today. And the conversation room is a format that I created probably 2 years ago. And it started with Black History Month. So I wanted to highlight voices that you normally don't hear outside too much or too often. And after this 1 month in February, this format even evolved, and there were more conversation rooms about different topics like neurodiversity, um, accessibility, um, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now I have to think about all of the episodes, which you can find on YouTube. There's a whole archive about with all the episodes. If you want to catch up, this is your place to look for them. So, who am I? My name is Ellen Wagner. My pronouns are she, her. My visual description: I am a light skinned Black woman with a short hair. I'm wearing my very short afro. And I'm wearing a black hoodie. My background is blurred. I'm in my office. And I'm tuning in currently from Princeton, New Jersey. These are the unceded lands of the Lenni Lenape. And yeah, I am here working for and fighting for justice. I'm trying to transform work cultures, and I work with organizations in Germany, where I was born and raised. Maybe you can hear it. Also Europe and in the US. And yeah, if you want to find out more about me, visit my LinkedIn profile, connect with me. I would love to know more about you. So if you want to share in the chat from where you're from where you're located at, from where you're tuning in from, I would love to know that. We will see your comments here in our tool. So we have people joining from LinkedIn, we have people joining from YouTube. So yeah, feel free to use the chat, share your question that you might have, share how it came about that you are here. And I see Angela Slesser, Central Board Office, joining from Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Go, Kellina! You have a fan here in the audience.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And yeah, how about we get right into it? So before my two guests, Kellina Powell and Minnie C. are going to introduce themselves. Both are coaches, and they will tell you all about themselves in just a bit. I will let you know how this conversation room came to be. So Kalina reached out to me, and now I have to think, was it 1 year ago? Well, it was
Yeah,
quite
one
some
year ago.
while back.
Yeah.
And you reached out on LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, I love your theme. Your theme is empowerment, which I immediately saw, and I'm also all about empowerment. And for me, it was not the right time to reach out or connect with people because my twins were just very young and I was very overwhelmed in this situation with everything like caretaking and working. So I just thought, okay, let's say right now is not the time to connect, but let's do this. So this year I reached out, and I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to hop on a virtual call and get to know each other. And I thought, okay, you really have something to say, and you need more visibility because more people need to know you. And I thought, hey, shall we do a conversation room together? And maybe you know some people, and surely you do. So you suggested to bring Minnie to the conversation, and Minnie had the idea after brainstorming what we should talk about to come up with a title of today, Black Disabled Women in Entrepreneurship. And I love it. So thank you again, Kellina, to you. Thank you to you, Minnie. And now please take it away. Kellina, would you like to start? Introduce yourself to the audience, and I will just shut my mouth.
For sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Kellina Powell, aka the Depth Queen Bob. I'm super excited to be here. So I am Sheen Her. My background is the class in the ceiling, white-ish, and I am wearing glasses, light skin black, with braids, with blood ombre, they would call it. So yeah, and I am wearing a long sleeve grayish, white-ish color. And I am an international speaker. I'm an author, a coach, and lastly, a deaf advocate for the deaf community, where I teach people how to be more inclusive for the deaf community. I pass it to you, Minnie.
Okay, so I'm Minnie, mostly Minnie. So if you ever see my name Camille, it's only used on LinkedIn and when I'm getting paid from companies. So it's this weird thing with my name now that I'm Camille, but I'm Minnie, and then I have my company called Minnie C Riley Company, which is where I merged all three of my names. And then the way I look, I'm wearing transparent pink glasses, a green tank top with small white stripes on it, and my skin color is golden brown caramel is the best way to describe it, and a semicolon tattoo on my left shoulder, and I am in Ontario, Canada.
Thank you so much. So before we start talking about, and this is probably the brainstorming that we did, right? We came up immediately with challenges, and that's also what I posted on LinkedIn, that there are many challenges, but the beauty is there is so much more about marginalized folks. So because we're all three entrepreneurs, how about we share our journey, how we came to be the entrepreneur that we are today? So I don't see Kellina right now, so maybe we start with you, Minnie. Would you like to share a little bit when you started to become an entrepreneur or thinking about it and how that evolved?
So entrepreneurship has always been in my life, where my family, they're in real estate. We used to have a small home business delivering prescriptions to people's homes from pharmacists. And then my school would always send either Girl Scout cookies or a magazine or a festival. And then high school, all the classmates were getting part-time jobs after school. And I would send in my resume and I'd never get hired. But when friends came over, we had our social media website called Black Planet, and I could do the HTML coding. And a friend asked, how much would you charge to make my page? And I said $20. And, and it just, I didn't have to worry about after school job. And then it was just because high school for me was pretty awful and traumatic. And then I left home at 18, where I answered an ad in the paper to be a live stream adult webcam model. And I've been doing that since 2003, where I stay home full time, working from home, making US dollars, living in Canada. That I didn't know what a webcam was in 2003. So, and now it primarily makes all of my money. So it's pretty interesting how that works for me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Minnie. Kellina, we can see you again.
Yes.
Could you
I
follow
would
the
say,
conversation? Yeah.
yes, I did. I would say for me, it just happened by accident. I would say because I always wanted to get into the entrepreneur space, but I didn't know how. And I decided to challenge myself by attending to a networking event. And when I went to a networking event, I met someone who came to realize that I have a disability, that my hearing aid was showing, and she happened to be a principal. And she said, I would love for you to come and speak to my student if you don't mind. And so I was like, you want me to be a speaker? So I didn't really thought I would become a speaker through a networking event. And long story short, the rest was history. I was able to kick it off, especially during the first time speaking with students. And she helped me to connect with other principals around Canada, especially in Canada and the United States. And I was able to do it. And then I branched out to becoming an author and branched out to becoming a coach as well. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I got into it.
That's great. Yeah. And I was thinking about my story. I think I've been having like little jobs for as long as I can think of. I started as a teenager because I like to have this money on the side. And I was very privileged. I could study. I was supported by my family because I grew up in middle class, being adopted. That was a huge advantage socioeconomically. But I always loved to work. So when I started my job in corporate, and I've been working in corporate for over 11 years, I had always a side hustle because I had the freedom to choose the projects that I wanted, to work when I wanted, of course, after my full-time job. But that kind of gave me a lot of joy because my kind of 9 to 5 in corporate was very restricted, right? So people were telling me what to do. And while freelancing, I could tell myself what to do. So I really like that a lot. And fast forward, when I migrated to the United States 5 years ago, my wife applied for a job here, got it, and I came here, needed to wait half a year for my working permit. Again, I was super privileged to be able to get a working permit as an immigrant, and I could found my own business. And first, I started out in this direction, and then I pivoted. So here I am working with organizations, and I kind of live my dream work-wise. I want to earn more money, definitely, because I have big dreams and I want to create impact. But it's been a journey, and it's definitely not always been easy. A question for you two. Have you imagined this when you were a child? And Kellina, you already said that you had a supporter, you had this principal, that person that believed in you, which played a huge role. Were there other people who supported you, or maybe when you were younger, talked about this, like
Um,
this is an option?
when I was younger, no, I wouldn't see myself doing this. Just because I did had a lot of teachers doubted me a lot of times, so they never really believed in me. They again didn't put my grade in for post secondary. I remember I had a guidance counselor who literally told me straight to my face and said, "You are not capable of going to post secondary." So it was very hard to come back from that, especially being a young kid, not knowing what is really going on, and you just instantly just shut yourself out. And that's what happened to me when the principal told me that story and said, yeah, I know you can't be a doctor because you're deaf. And so that hurts me. Obviously, it did affect me, especially my mental health. I did go through a really deep, hardcore, um, like depression because I instantly like give up on everything so quick. And I remember I had my family pulled me together and said, you cannot always listen to people, but you do have challenge, but it doesn't affect you, especially in the near future. And so my family was very encouraging, always want me to strive like a light, Um, but to be honest with you guys, if I were to go back to tell my younger self, I would tell my younger self to be patient, because everything comes with a price. And you can't be afraid to speak up, and that's something I really did struggle a lot when I was younger with speaking up for myself.
I'm on mute, the classic. It needed to happen soon. So I said, thank you for sharing, Kellina. And I said that I can relate to this very much, that you shouldn't always listen to the voices around you. But I think this is so hard to deconstruct that. And I think it takes a lifetime to do that. And may I just read a line because you were just talking about something, and I thought, maybe I can read something from this beautiful book called Every Day I Am Just Deaf, by Kellina Powell, which you can get on Amazon. So buy it now, or maybe after this conversation. And here you say, and that's probably something that you would tell your younger self: never doubt your strength. Everybody's life is different. Strength is key. Use that strength. Fight that devil inside you. And I love that very much. It's very empowering. And coming to you, Minnie, I think the work that you do, I checked you out on YouTube, sharing all your budget. I don't know if I know people who share so freely, like all they have, and sharing a lot of knowledge. I think for you, it was also an empowerment process that you went through, that you can now be so visible with your story and sharing. So I think knowledge really is power in all of this. Would you like to share a little bit about you and what you thought about when you were a child, if that would ever be possible to become an entrepreneur?
So me as a teenager, I was very angry for a lot of things, like my parents' divorce, trauma that happened to me, not having friends, people that were my friends, but they were gossiping about me. It was like, now that it's depression, it's anxiety, it's PTSD, it's all the psychiatric disorders. So that's, as a teenager and going through psychiatric disorders, who lives in a Caribbean household that doesn't believe in psychiatric disorders, and they also work in healthcare, which even now I still don't know how you work and help people. Like my mom being an ER nurse, you're the first person you see in the hospital. She's the one that makes sure that, hey, we'll talk to the social worker, we'll get the psychiatrist to come talk to you. And me, like, we knew I was having a hard time. Then we switched me from French immersion middle school, so grade 7, and then we switched to grade 8, all English. Then my grades got better, but they automatically assume I would pick my classes and just go to school, not talk to boys. Like, there was no consistent planning of my education compared to my younger sister, who knew her plan since she was 3 years old. And she's accomplished her plan since she was 3 years old. And it's really hard because living with a disability and living with mental health challenges, and then living in Ontario, where we do have a lot of access when you access it, but if you don't access the services, there's no chance of being stable. I can't say getting better, because now I have multiple sclerosis, and that's lesions in my brain and my spine, and MRI every year and blood work all the time to check my medications. But there is a baseline of, I can cook, I can get groceries, I can travel. But for the most part, when I'm going through something like sleep apnea right now, and it's partially covered by the government because I'm on disability benefits from the provincial level for Ontario disability benefit, the federal level is a Canada disability tax credit. I'm labeled disabled by the government or my doctor. But you talk to my family, like, what do you mean you're sick? I go, where have you been? Especially like for multiple sclerosis, I get my treatment in the hospital my grandmother works at. It's just a different floor. That's it. Just push a different button. But I go there, I visit, she thinks I'm fine. Like, they're upset I didn't go to college. They're upset I didn't get a corporate job, or I'm not married with grandbabies, but they never ask what happened. So with social media, I can talk about what happened. And then somehow my experience is someone else's survival guide. So like the budgeting, it came out of being on disability, where I would see posts of people complaining that people on disability are lazy or we're scamming the system and all these negative things. And I was like, let me show you what I actually do with your taxpayer money. That's also my taxpayer money. And it doesn't go very far. Like anything else as supplements out of that budget is from me working self-employed. And then there's people now that say I should work at this company or this insurance. I'm like, no, I'm not working for a company, because they wouldn't. Like, I took 2 naps today and I still showed up for this podcast. What job is, and someone bought me a coffee this week as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that happens because I'm able to control my time and control my energy. I know when my next medical appointment is. I don't have to check into HR. Can I get time off for this appointment? And oh yeah, I have this appointment. And oh yeah, I have an appointment every year this month for something. Either a follow-up to close a diagnosis or follow-up to just check in to see what's going on. And then my doctor, she double books her 15 minutes so I can do a wellness check with her, because most doctor's appointments are 15 minutes. So like I have so much flexibility to do that. And then to be in a job for 40 hours a week where they only give you a break after 5 hours, because I read Employment Law, that website, when I got bored of reading the Ontario Disability Support Program policies. And I'm like, yes, it's super challenging with all these things of living with your disability and navigating government assistance. And the stereotype or the loud narrative right now is that you're disabled and you're poor. And I reject that label completely. I'm not going to be in a label that being told as a kid, I love money too much, and then now I'm not supposed to have it. No, I'm going to have as much as I can. And then hopefully I live long enough to use it. That's how the social media works. It was me reading the policy directives. It was me realize if I want to change my circumstances, I have to do it. And I can't worry about on things I can't control. Like the government right now with the Canada Disability Benefit, the draft, it's the public comments are on it right now. It's over 2,000 comments of people that hate the disability benefit of $200 a month that they're giving people if they have access to the disability tax credit, with a doctor shortage and a housing shortage and affordability shortage and millions more people accessing food banks in Canada, where they're auctioning off Taylor Swift signs in Toronto to raise money for the daily food. None of that makes sense. That you're waiting for a celebrity and rename signs in the city and then auction it off and give it to the food bank so you can buy not really healthy food, people that are hungry, that are getting scurvy that I thought only pirates got. So yeah, that's how that works.
Minnie, I should give you like a whole a whole conversation. You could go on and on. So thank you so much for your spirit. I love that. And I've been to a neurodiversity conference recently, and they've been talking about accommodations a lot. And there are so many people, and I guess in Canada it's similar, in the US that are unemployed. And when they are employed, they don't get accommodated properly. Many people don't disclose their disability because there are reasons, right? Stigmas and prejudice, just like you just said, Minnie, that people think people with disability are lazy or they cannot do the job. And there are so many problems, and people don't actually see or understand it, probably because they don't have a disability or proximity to people who have disabilities. What were challenges, Kellina, that people don't see, that people don't know, that you were facing on your entrepreneurship journey?
I would say asking for accommodation, I would say, would be the first thing for me, just because, for example, getting asked to do closed caption on platforms like this, right? It can be very difficult for me to follow the conversation and not every platform have closed caption, which kind of stuck because I can't follow through the conversation, and there's not a lot of update with the software. A lot of software haven't been updated for months or years, and they just recently slowly updating the software for to be more acceptable, unfortunately. And I know that sometimes some people may have to cancel my appointment because there's no closed caption. And some people could be not lazy but uneducated about getting access to closed caption, making sure that there's a closed caption. And I would say number two, I would say is people don't ask questions. And sometimes I have to ask them something, and they're like, "Oh, I thought about it, but I was kind of nervous to ask you." And that happens a lot. And I noticed that a lot of people don't want to educate themselves. And it's very sad that a lot of people don't really take the time to study the person before they hop on a call with them. So, for example, when people see my page or my LinkedIn or my profile, they get a little, sorry, they get a little nervous because they don't know what to expect. And so that's why that's literally what I base daily basics when being an entrepreneur. It's just not having the stuff or to have closed caption, unfortunately.
Yes. You want to add anything, Minnie?
Yeah. So with the closed captioning, because I talk about personal finance, living with a disability all the time till 4 a.m, depending if I'm awake, someone reached out to me who needed a financial planner. And I like my financial planner. He explains things very clearly. He'll explain it multiple times. And I didn't know she was deaf because we were talking through email or DM messages for a very long time. And then my financial planner said, "Hey, this person booked an appointment and she needs closed captioning." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." Then I went on Google and zoomed all the video tutorials how to do it and sent it to him. And as far as I know, the appointment went successfully well. I because I present normal, whatever that definition is, that accommodation is not yet my primary question. But for my financial planner, who was like, "You refer me a new client, I'm working with people with disabilities, and I'm the one educating him a lot about the policies and what we need to do with the financial aspects of it."
I hope you get paid for that.
I got a wonderful, expensive fruit basket that I had to eat in one day. So it was like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's a lot of fruit. I did. I managed to eat it all day. It was, yeah. But that, like in the financial industry space, it's twofold. Some of them specifically work with people with disability because their family members are, or they don't touch it because they don't feel they're an expert in it. Read the website till 4 a.m. like I do. It's not that hard. Just and then with the registered disability savings plan, depending on how they invest that, they don't make a lot of money from their investment fees out of it because the way the account's set up. So then they don't offer it. Or I met a financial advisor that we both know. I ended up talking to her to try to navigate all the services she needed for mental health. And she said she had the disability tax credit, but she didn't open the registered disability savings plan. I was like, how come the person we know didn't do it? And she was like, well, he was so worried about going on vacation. I go, well, he's not really a person who's in your corner. And then when I emailed her back, I'm like, go to my financial advisor if you want to switch. It was the financial industry and having an advisor with a disability, it's a lot of executive functions to manage stocks and mutual funds and bonds and the economy. And it's a lot of information in there. I look at it, I think it's pretty, and I log out. But to manage it, you need someone that explains investments, explains the performance of the portfolio during the economy of each quarter. Each time Bank of Canada decides to increase or decrease interest rates. I have a rough idea what that is, but I don't know how that really affects me because I'm still living below the poverty line. And now that I'm doing all I can to lift myself out of poverty, to do that for me, it's investing. And then with the disability savings plan that we have, the government matches my contributions. So it excels that very quickly. But I also need someone in there who's not going to skim off the top or do bad investment. There's a lot of things that goes on to it because we're a vulnerable population. And then the way that the financial service industry is, some of them are salespeople. They got a few licenses, they passed an exam. Congratulations, you can read a book and pass an exam. And then there's other people who specifically want to help people no matter what with their financial planning. And to find those people when you have a disability or you're low income or you're working self-employed and your income is irregular, you have to do a lot of work to present well as an investor client. And that part I don't like in the industry, but this broker investment industry has been there since the 1800s. So I won't be able to change it overnight. So I'm basically calling out people that I've met that think I'm great and wonderful, that do questionable behaviors when they know this is what I talk about every day till 4:00 in the morning. And I'm trying not to name names, and I really want to. It's very hard for me right now.
Yeah, and I guess that took some while till you got to that point, right? To gain the confidence to speak out and to speak up and to call out others. So I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking like, oh, I would love to talk about topic that, and so many other things. And I'm trying to focus now because my ADHD brain is going all over the place. But the thought that I wanted to take is it's hard to have a business, right? You might be an expert in something, but that's not enough. You need to know about financing. You need to know about budgeting. And just a little bit, so that if you outsource this or you're lucky enough to be able to outsource it, you need to know who you're talking with and if the people are capable. And then if you find someone, you hope that this person will be good to you and will not discriminate, right? So I think it's really hard. And for me, it's also a mission to empower others so that they can start their own business, because we need more people like us who know what it's like in order to welcome people and offer services without hurting or causing any harm. And Kellina, a question to you. What advice would you give other Black disabled women who are interested in starting a company? What would your advice be?
I would say the very first thing is find a mentor. It's very important to find a mentor that align with what you're doing and what you're looking for. And number two, you're never too much. I know some people may label Black women as loud, and you don't know what you are until you're in the space, right? Everybody can label you as different things, but don't take it personal. And that's something I had to learn the hard way when I started my business, was not to take everything personal. Not everybody's opinion matters. And number three, I would say learn how to operate a business in terms of always don't be afraid to be a student, right? Read books about business, learn how to operate as a team, learn how to build a team. Because if you can build a team, your business will go insane. And and the reason why I said it is because building a team and finding a mentor and reading books, it's important because not everything you see online is the right answer. People are so brainwashed when it comes to social media. They think, oh my God, okay, I have to listen to this person, I have to listen to this person. Don't be too blindfolded when it comes to the number of followers, likes, comments. Like, it doesn't matter, right? It's about finding the right things that resonate with you. That's the most important thing. Don't think that this person who got to B and you think you're an A. No, everybody's timeline is different. And you have to think to yourself, as a Black woman, it's okay to have difficulties down the road. We all face difficulty, not just because we're Black. Everybody faced it. And don't feel like you are alone in this world, because there are people who's willing to support you, who's willing to help you. And my last piece of advice is, I always tell every entrepreneur, is that not everybody is going to support your business. Rather, it's friends, family, whatever is your boyfriend, relationship, whatnot. Not everybody's going to support it, and that's okay, because your idea is not meant to fit in their shoe. Sometimes it's meant to fit in other people's shoe, and you know. And don't be afraid to get yourself out there. Have that confidence. Tell yourself why you're doing this. Just make sure you have a very, very strong why to keep you moving forward. And that's my piece of advice.
I love the piece with the why. I think we need to check in more often with ourselves and ask this question, because the why can change, our values can change, and I think it's a very valuable point to know your values, in order when somebody asks you, can you do that job or that project? You know your values and you can see if it aligns, because if it doesn't align, it takes up a lot of energy, more than you maybe can handle. And one question more, Kellina, if I may. You said your second advice to not take things personally. I think this is going to be a lifetime struggle growing up with white parents who never talked about racism or other stuff. And I have to deconstruct trying to comfort whiteness, trying to comfort the norm. Um, so when I hear things that might be painful, I know that I should not take it personal, but I do. And I'm kind of sensitive. What is your advice to not take things personal? I mean, it sounds so easy, like, oh, don't take it personal, but
No, I mean, it's hard. It's a lifetime. Like, it really is. For me, when I started my business, I remember I told a couple of friends of mine, and you know, I did took a very personal. I'm like, I'm your fan. You're supposed to support me, and what I realized is that you have one life to live, one life to live. You don't have a second option to live life, and I realized that because I obviously I lost my godfather on my way to my house. And that was a wake up call for me to realize that you have one life to live, and you don't know when tomorrow comes. Because let's say, for example, you had a dream. God came to your dream and give you a timeline when you're supposed to pass. What will you be doing? You are obviously going to be living the best life, right? Majority of us would be doing that. So if you think of that way and say, well, I only have one life to live. What is the worst that you can lose? So it's very important that we are taking that negativity outside of our mind and think about the positivity.
I just want to let that sink in. Minnie, what would be your advice for Black disabled women who want to start their own business? Or maybe what was um, the best advice that you got or that you learned, your biggest takeaway?
What I learned was I don't need to ask for permission at all. The minute you turn 18, you no longer ask for permission. And I should have remembered that, because high school, I was forging notes to not be in class for months. And then when my teacher found it, she told me I wouldn't amount to anything. And yeah, I took it very personal at that time, because you're a teenager and every emotion is extremely heightened. But younger me, who was rebellious and didn't care at all, with a lot of swear words, I didn't ask for permission to make that note and skip school or class. Or mom would drop me off at school and I would go to a whole different city and come back on time as if I was in class all day. So I forget that part of me that was gonna get it done no matter what. And I didn't ask for permission, or if I wanted to go to the movies by myself or dinner by myself. Like Mr. Bean, which he reminded me that you can accomplish whatever you want by yourself. And just that, like, yes, that people think their opinion matters on you, but it really doesn't. Like, I just woke up by myself in a house and made breakfast by myself, and then I have to pay bills and go to a doctor's appointment. Everything that I do, I have to text somebody or call somebody and then wait to see if you're available to help me. That's asking for permission when you really think about it. Like, when I could, like, one of my medical appointments, I need to hire a nurse to be there when I woke up for the procedure. I just paid for the service. They were there. If it didn't work out, I would complain to the service and they would have to accommodate the service that I paid for a business. So friends and family and all the, like, sure, you love me. Okay, fine. But you judge all my ambitions. They're my ambitions. They're my dreams in the middle of the night that I can't sleep through. Like, so asking for permission is probably the worst thing you could do. And then with mentors, you have to interview them just as if you're in a job interview, because it won't work the whole time. It's going to be temporary. And then if it's your business that you really want to do, whatever it is, you still have to make sure that business is running. Like, you still have to make sure there's sales, there's marketing, you're collecting everybody's invoices, filing taxes on time. Most of it is you by yourself. And then even if you have a partnership, you have to make sure the contract and that partnership still has you able to exit when that contract goes south. Because I've had that happen and I lost thousands of dollars in something that I didn't understand, where now intellectual property, they own the content, they own the material, they're making money off of it for infinity. And now I have to go figure out how to hire a lawyer and how to hire this person to do trademarks. And it costs money. And you don't have to go into debt to do it. It just, you have to figure out what's the best way you could do it that doesn't add more stress without asking for permission at the same time.
I like that. Yeah. What is the saying? I don't know. There's a US American woman that said it's easier to apologize than asking for permission in the first place. And I really, really like that. And I try to live after that quote. So unfortunately, everyone, I cannot believe it. We have so many more topics that we prepared to talk about, but we have come to the end of the session. And if you feel like, oh, wow, Kellina and Minnie, they have so much to say and I want to know more, you can book them. So contact them, show some love and pay some money and be equitable and get them into your organization if they should speak. Yeah, this is it for today. This is today's conversation room, the topic Black disabled women in entrepreneurship. Thank you, Kellina, so much for being part of this and bringing in Minnie. Minnie, it's been a delight. Thank you so much. And I hope to see everyone soon again. With our next episode. Right now, I have to think about when the next episode will take place. I think we have one coming up in December 3rd, which is pretty soon. And yeah, I'm gonna let you know what this topic is about. For now, this is it. I say thank you so much for tuning in. Like this, share it with your colleagues, with your friend, and support us. Take good care. All the best. Bye.